This is the Red Line, and I am your host, Jimmy Red. Thanks for tuning in. So we're back here on the Red Line after a little bit of a break. Had some stuff going on with school and all that. So we're back here, and we're ready to get started. We're back with part one of a four-part series for you guys here, and we're going to do NFL predictions series by series on how we think they're going to go throughout this season. And tonight, we're going to hear about the AFC West, the NFC West, on this episode of the Red Line. So to start it off, we're going to start off with the AFC side of the football. And really, there's not much of a surprise going on that side of the football because that there consists of the Chargers, Chiefs, Raiders, and the Broncos. I got the Broncos coming in at 7-9. And last year, the Broncos, they were okay, but they didn't have the year they needed to have as a team, especially after losing Peyton Manning. And when Peyton left, that hurt a lot, considering he was their man. Defense was still there. They drafted a defensive guy this year to put that defense back up, and I think their quarterback they brought over, being Case Keenum, who came over from Minnesota. I'm not sure that's going to be a great fit. I'm not sure he's the starting quarterback they're looking for there. So I think after that's all said and done, their year comes out and they wind up being 7-9. So I don't think they have a stellar year. They win 2 more games this year than they did last year. Last year they were 5-11 in division with overall record. So they finished 4th in their division. And I think this year they go 7-9. To follow right behind them, I believe you got the Raiders. Raiders had some big changes. They got a lot of problems going on right now. A new head coach in John Gruden. John Gruden just signed the deal, 10 years, $100 million we all know of. When he signed that deal, made him a lot of money. Well, John Gruden, I believe, is out to keep his offensive mind going, and you wonder why. And the reason he's doing that is because he's got the Gruden quarterback camp, and he knows that if this doesn't work out, he needs a contingency plan to fall back on if he gets let go from the Raiders. And seeing that he has to keep that, he's in love with his quarterback. So he's really, really, really reached out to Mr. Carr there to help him excel, the quarterback. And he's not reached out to a man you need to reach out to, though, Khalil Mack. He has yet to reach out to Khalil Mack, not even called him one time, which is a big problem in my mind because Khalil Mack ranks probably, in my mind, in the top 5 best defensive players in football. He's right up there with Aaron Donald, who is probably 1 or 2, and J.J. Watt's right there with him. So it's a lot of good players right there. So with that being said, he hasn't even reached out to that guy yet, which I think is going to make him not want to play as hard for John Gruden, which is not good, considering you got to have defense in the NFL to win games. Quarterback side will be great. Defensive side won't. So I think this year, with all the changes, the way that you got to do stuff, and with John Gruden just getting back in after his time off, I think they have a bit of a sluggish year. When they had that good season, they won a lot of games by one-possession games, and those one-possession games are hard to win, especially for a new coach after having an old style, the way the NFL has changed. So I think they go 7-9 as well, and I think they beat the Broncos because I think they beat the Broncos in both games. So I think they take the tiebreaker after beating the Broncos in both games. That's why they finished 3rd. Doesn't really matter because they're both 7-9, so that doesn't make much of a difference anyways. Then we jump up to who finishes 2nd in the division, and that being the Kansas City Chiefs. I have the Kansas City Chiefs finishing 2nd in the division. Reason being, they lost their quarterback in Alex Smith. Alex Smith is no longer there. He left and is now quarterback for Washington. Seeing that he left, they're bringing in a fresh arm who's yet to play. He was a rookie last year, set behind him. They drafted him. Kid's got speed for days, who they got. His throwing's not too great, I don't think, but his speed is phenomenal for a quarterback. He's very, very, very fast. The kid I'm speaking of would be Patrick Mahomes. Came out of Texas Tech. Really good speed. His arm I'm very concerned with. He had a lot of flashes of brilliance last year during the preseason, and they let him in a couple times during the regular season. He looked good, but I don't know if he's what a franchise quarterback is. He's got Andy Reid, and Andy Reid is a very, very smart coach. He knows how to build a team, he knows how to work a team, and he knows how to play football. That being said, I think they finished 2nd in the division because they have a lot of other weapons besides just a quarterback. They have, a wide receiver and a running back who are really, really good. So I think Kansas City finishes second in the division. And winning the division, no questions, I believe the Chargers win that division. The Chargers have a quarterback who never gets hurt, plays injured all the time in Phillip Rivers. They have a good running back there in Todd Gurley. So they have no problem there. And no, Gurley's not there. Gurley's in the Rams. Sorry. They have a good running back there with the Chargers as well. Sorry. And he can get them yards and have no problem there. They got good receivers. Defense is good. I think the Chargers come back up this year after having a 9-7 year. I think they win the conference after finishing 9-7 last year. So last year's records I have here were the Broncos at 5-11, the Raiders at 6-10, Chargers at 9-7, and Kansas City 8-6. This year, my predictions have the Broncos finishing 9-7, winning 2 more games than they did last year. I have the Raiders winning 1 more game than they did last year and finishing 7-9. Then I have Kansas City losing 2 more games and going to 500 at 8-8 because I believe Andy Reid pulls it through for them. That's how they finish 8-8. Andy Reid, because he developed Patrick Mahomes. Kansas, and like I said, I think San Diego wins the conference with a 10-6 record just because they have the veterans on the team that can carry them and go with Melvin Ingram, their running back. So I believe that's going to be big for them in that one. And with that being said, now we're going to switch over to the NFC West. The NFC West, it's got a lot of power. A lot of power. This is one of the conferences I'm really, really excited about. There's a lot of good stuff that I want to see out of there. With that being said, the Cardinals is who I have finishing last in that division. The reason I have the Cardinals finishing last is because they got 2 quarterbacks. One of them is injury prone. The other one's NFL ready, but I don't know if he has the weapons to be ready because his running back's just coming back after an injured year in Johnson, and then he's got a wide receiver in Fitzgerald who's old. So I don't know if he's got the weapons to have the year that he needs. So I'm kind of curious to see what he can do. I think he gets in because I think Bradford gets hurt probably game 5. And if he doesn't, then he gets pulled because they have a bad record. So I think Josh Rosen, the quarterback they drafted out of UCLA, gets in and he plays and he looks good. I think he wins 3 or 4 games because I believe Bradford wins at least 1. So I have the Cardinals finishing 4th. Finishing 3rd, I have Seattle. Excuse me. I have Seattle. Seattle here, they got a lot of problems going on right now. Team's getting old. A lot of controversy going on in that locker room. Earl Thomas is holding out because he wants a new contract, or he wants to be traded and he wants to go play for Dallas, but he's getting old. Their quarterback had no weapons. They had the worst offensive line in football last year. Nobody could even do anything. Russell Wilson would get the football in his hands and he had to scramble instantly. So that was a big problem. Russell Wilson saved that team last year, and Pete Carroll, I think, is getting a little old and out of his prime. And I think the guys that he used to understand out of the draft that he got were easier for him, shall I say. And the reason I say that is because when Pete was at USC, these are kids he recruited, so he knew what they could do. When he did that, he had an inside view on them kids. And seeing he had that, he could just beat the guys by knowing. Now he doesn't have that. That little bit of an edge that he had was gone because he could draft those players. And now seeing that they're older in age, that hurts them, and he doesn't know where else to go from there. So Russell Wilson has to carry that team. They finish 3rd in the division. I think the Niners finish 2nd. Why? They got Jimmy G. Jimmy G is probably the best-looking quarterback in the NFL. I know that sounds weird to say, but he is. I know there's controversy going on with him right now. He just went out on a date with a porn star, and it's not great. I don't want to see my franchise quarterback going out on a date with a porn star. It doesn't look good. Certain things just don't go together. Franchise quarterback, porn star, don't mix for me. So I don't like that too much, but I think he sat down and talked with the brilliant young mind of Kyle Shanahan. He told him it's not a good look for our team. I think Jimmy's got a good head on his shoulders, And if he does decide to do something like that with a person like that, he keeps it under wraps. He doesn't go out to a public area where TMZ is going to be standing there waiting on him. Although TMZ is going to be everywhere around him because he's Jimmy Garoppolo. He's a quarterback for the 49ers. And he was a protege from Bill Belichick, and he was behind Tom Brady, potentially the greatest quarterback ever. So they're going to have their eyes all over that guy no matter what he does. He's got a lot of weapons there. They did great in the draft. John Lynch is a great general manager. I think the Niners finished second. The Rams, I think they still win the division again this year. I know what you're thinking. They won the division last year as well. Yeah, they won the division last year, but now they got a first-place schedule, so it's going to be tougher on them. But I still think they win this division. They went out during the offseason, and they got more players to their roster to make their team better that they did not have to go get. They went and got Adama Suh and Brandon Cooks. Cooks came from the Patriots, as we all know, so he's got another weapon to throw the football to. They still got the youngest coach in the NFL with Sean McVay, brilliant young mind. They got a great quarterback in Jared Goff. They got an awesome running back with Gurley in the backfield. They're fine. I think they win their division. And speaking of their head coach, I think that he is just a complete genius. I saw this thing on ESPN, HBO, where he has like a photographic memory. It was incredible. They would say something to him, Sean McVay, and he would be like, what game was it? What down was it? Where was the ball? And he could tell you exactly what happened on that play. He could say, oh, that's where he threw a 5-yard screen out to so on and so forth. He ran for 3 yards, got hit, fumbled it, picked up, returned for 5. Next play, we picked the ball off. He could tell you the series. It's incredible how a guy has a memory from that many years ago. His mind was photogenic. And that, to me, shows an awesome guy. He said his day started like 4:30 in the morning, wake up. He was watching film by 6. He watched film for like 2 hours, then went and practiced, then went to lunch, then came back, finished practice, watched more film, and went to bed at like 9. He watched so much film, it just burned into his head. But a guy to have that much ambition and love for football, he's going to win. And he's going to be a winner, and he's going to push his team to be a winner because he doesn't want to lose. So that's why the Rams win the division. I had the Cardinals, like I said. They picked up that quarterback that I think is going to be great. I believe he should have won a Heisman Trophy last year. He struggled a little bit out of UCLA there, Josh Rosen. I got them finishing 4th with 5-11. It's going to be a weak year, like I said, for him. They're going to struggle. He's only going to win a couple games, and Bradford's going to get hurt. Then I got Seattle coming in, 8-8, old age. They still win games. When it comes into a shootout, it's going to get hard for them because they're older. The younger guys are going to have more energy at the end of a game, be able to beat them. They'll pull a couple of them out because of their experience, but a lot of those will lose because of their youth. Their age. They're too old. The youth will beat them. Then the 49ers, I said, were second. I think Jimmy G turns it around. He's the hottest team there is right now in football. He won the last 5 games of the year for the Niners, and when the Niners got him, they could not lose. Could not have lost that. They gave up a second-round pick for Jimmy Garoppolo. If they lost a lot of games, they still could draft a quarterback. If they won a lot of games, they got a franchise quarterback. How could you lose? You got rid of a second-round draft pick. I think it was great for them to do that. I think, like I said, they finished second. They finished 8-6. Then the Rams, Sean McVay, Jared Goff, Todd Gurley. They added great players during the offseason, as I said. Brandon Cooks, Adama Suh. They re-signed. The best defensive guy there is a defensive guy. So I think they don't have any problem right now winning that division. They go 11-5, match their record from last year because they were 11-5. Seattle loses one more game than they won last year. They were 9-7 or go 8-8. Cardinals, they're really going to struggle. I said they're going to lose 3 more. The Niners are really going to jump, be 10-6 after a weak year of only winning 6 games. So that's the predictions on the AFC and NFC West. Make sure you check back because there is 3 more episodes to follow of predictions with the Red Line. I'm your host, Jimmy Red, so check back to make sure you can get all the inside information for football. It's just right around the corner. I'll see you guys on episode 2. This is the Red Line, and I am your host, Jimmy Red. Thanks for tuning in. This is episode 2 of 4 for NFL predictions. On episode 1 that you guys just watched, it was the AFC West and NFC West. Now in episode 2, we're going to do the AFC North and NFC North. These ones here, pretty much, I think there's two teams that could go to the Super Bowl out of each conference, one out of one and one out of the other. But it's not really a tight race by any of these teams to really win their conference. I think both teams win pretty easily. With that being said, we're going to start with the AFC North. And that being the team that finishes last in that division. And that is the Browns. I think the Browns finished last in that division. I know that the Browns didn't win a game last year. They went 0-16, which was terrible to see. And I feel bad for them. They got the number 1 pick, though, and they drafted Baker Mayfield, the kid out of Oklahoma, Heisman Trophy winner with that number 1 pick. I don't like it because he's got a police video. Don't like quarterbacks with police videos. Face my franchise, want him to have a clean face. Want him to look good, want him to be professional. I don't want him running from cops. You can run fast on the field, but don't run from the po-po. Sorry. I don't think he's going to start. I already know. They've came out and said he's not starting. They're starting a guy who is very, very good and proved that he could win. He's not a franchise quarterback, but he's a proven winner in the NFL. He shows what he can do. He took a franchise that was dysfunctional in Buffalo. Guess where they were? Playoffs, baby. Now it's coming to the Browns. I ain't saying the Browns make the playoffs. Just saying Tyrod Taylor can win. He did it with Buffalo, so don't count that guy out. I don't think the Browns do very much. They got a great receiving core, though. They got Josh Gordon if he can stay out of trouble, and they got the number 3 league receiving guy out of wide receivers. He was only beat by 2 guys last year, and that's Jarvis Landry, who's playing the slot. They got him. So number 3 in receptions last year was Jarvis Landry. They got him as well, and they're also looking at getting Dez Bryant, the guy that was released from Dallas. I know everybody knows who Dez is, but they're looking at getting him too. He's a diva in my mind, but whatever, who cares? So, whatever. But the Browns finished last in that division. Next up on that will be the Bengals. I think the Bengals finished 3rd. Bengals have struggled the last few years. They were 7-9 last year. Andy Dalton has not been the quarterback they've wanted him to be the last few years. I saw a video the other day of Andy Dalton throw a football from, I'd say it was probably about 40 yards. You couldn't really see. You had to watch flight. You couldn't see the field. But he launched a football, and it flew all the way down the field and landed into a net that was down there. It was a ring. It looked like a donut that had a net on it. Bing! Right in it. Pinpoint accuracy. It's beautiful. Problem is, you can't find a way to do that during a game. You ain't going to win. And he hasn't found a way to do that, although he's great. I think they struggle again this year as well. I actually think they're a little worse than last year, to be honest with you. I think they got a tougher schedule this year than they did last year. Last year they were 7-9. I think they're a little worse this year. I still like Andy Dalton because he's a redhead like me. Got to support the redheaded brothers. But I don't think they do very well in that division. Then we go up to the next team in that division, and that being the Ravens. Baltimore Ravens will finish 2nd. The Ravens were 9-7 last year, but they are going to be very exciting to watch. I'm very excited to watch the Hall of Fame game. And the reason being with that is Joe Flacco has not produced. He won the Super Bowl. They gave him this big, fat contract. And what's he done? Nothing. So, I think it's time for Flacco to show up or shut up. And with that being done, they've proved a point to him that they will move away from him if needed. Because you do not waste a first-round draft pick on a quarterback if you don't feel like he could be a franchise quarterback. You're going to get something to help your quarterback. You're not going to waste it on a quarterback. You'll get a quarterback in round 2 or round 3 to use him as a backup. That's what most teams do. They don't get them in round 1 to use him as a backup. They believe that could be a future franchise quarterback. Well, guess what? Baltimore did it. They got Lamar Jackson, the Heisman Trophy winner, out of Louisville. Dual threat quarterback, runs fast. Kind of reminds me of a Cam Newton that's shorter, but he's got a better arm than Cam. So, I think they're sending a message out to Flacco, and I don't think Flacco responds real well to it. So I got them finishing second, but I don't think he responds real well to it because he knows he's on the hot seat. And I think at some point Lamar Jackson gets that shot to be a starter in Baltimore, maybe late in the year, but I think he gets that chance to be a starter. He's going to play a lot of plays during the season, and the reason I say that, they can run a different kind of offense with him receiving the ball as the quarterback because he's a dual threat. So you could run the RPO so much better with him than you could with Flacco. You could run the pitch out. I mean, you could run the quarterback option with the pitch with him so much better because Lamar is a dual threat. Obviously, like I said, he can run the football. And if you have to worry about him, that's going to open up your receivers. So I see Lamar Jackson getting a shot. I'm excited to watch and see what this kid can do in the Hall of Fame game. He's playing Chicago. Chicago's not that good, but I'm excited to see what Lamar can do during that game because they drafted him. He's going to play. And winning that division, hands down, team that has no problems anywhere on the offensive side besides people not getting paid and just being mad at everything for it, and that would be the Steelers. They have the aged man in Ben Roethlisberger as a quarterback. Then they have Antonio Brown, which is an amazing wide receiver. He's probably the best one in the NFL, hands down there. And then they got Le'Veon Bell. Le'Veon Bell is upset because he didn't get a contract extension, but he is pretty upset. I don't know if he's worth it. Sorry. I don't pay my running backs like that. They're a dime a dozen. You see how many there was in the draft this year. It's a dime a dozen. I don't pay him like that. I'm sorry. Sorry, Le'Veon Bell. I know you're great, but I couldn't have paid you that much. Sorry. So that's where the problem lies for the Steelers. I don't like their head coach, Mike Tomlin, either. He's kind of not. He thinks he's better than you attitude, shall I say, to put it on the nice side. And I don't like that in a coach. I like the confidence, but I don't like the arrogance. And he's got the arrogance side of it, and I don't like that. He's a great coach. I'll give you that all day, but I don't like that. Those are their problems. I don't think Ben is that kind of guy, and I don't see him sticking around for that much longer, and that's why Le'Veon Bell is arguing because they're butting heads, and I don't see that lasting long in Pittsburgh, and that's why I think they have a good year this year, and stuff falls apart the following year. I got them winning the division. With that being said, I think the Browns finished last, like I said, and they're going to easily double how many wins they had. They had 0. So if they win 1, they doubled. I got the Browns winning 3 games this year. Yeah, I said 3. I know, a surprise. I think Tyrod wins 2, and I think late in the year after they get eliminated, they decide that Tyrod is not the franchise quarterback anymore. And they put Baker in, and Baker goes and wins 1. And I think they decide, okay, we're going to give this kid a shot and make Baker our franchise quarterback. And I think the Browns win 3 games. So the Browns go 3-13 this year. Finishing up in third in that division, I have the Bengals. The Bengals went 9-7 last year. I think they fall off. 7-9 last year. I think they fall off. I think they lose 2 more games and fall to 5-11 because everybody got a little bit better. They got 2 easy wins right there against the Browns. I think they fall off just a little bit, just a little. Then the Ravens are next. I don't think the Ravens have a winning year at all this year. I think they go 6-10. Reason being, like I said, Flacco knows the pressure's on him right now, and I don't see him performing doing it. I don't see it. So I think Lamar Jackson gets that nod late in the year, and that's who they build their franchise around. When they do it, that's when they start winning games. I think Flacco wins 2 or 3 at the start of the year, maybe 2. Thanksgiving rolls around. They've only won 2 games. Time to put Lamar in because Lamar's already got playing time with coming in as the substitute quarterback during games to run that RPO and pitch options to help open up the pass game for either Flacco or him because if you get the run going, the running back feels confident, he's going to run better. So that's going to open the pass game up. So I think we're going to see Lamar play a lot during the game, but I think he's going to progress about Thanksgiving or just after to the starting quarterback. And to win that division, I have the Steelers. Steelers go 11-5. Nobody can touch them. They got the 3 Bs, Le'Veon Bell, Big Ben, and Antonio Brown. So they win it easily. They could potentially go to the Super Bowl with that team as well. It's a great team. That's why I think there's only a couple years left for that team because if they do win the Super Bowl this year, Le'Veon Bell is going to say it was because of him. He's going to want paid. He's going to try to get paid. He's going to say get lost. They're going to lose money, and they're going to be terrible. That's why I think there's only 1 year, maybe 2 years left there in Pittsburgh, and then they implode, and they are terrible. And with that, we're going to switch over to the NFC North. And that one there is a conference that I'm excited about, for sure. And finishing last in that division, I have the Bears. I got the Bears finishing last. I know they got a franchise quarterback. They just got him last year. They got Mitch Trubisky out of Notre Dame, out of North Carolina. I'm excited to see what excuse me. I'm excited to see what this kid can do. They went 5-11 last year in the season. I think they fall off a little this year because they got some easy wins last year against Green Bay. So I think they fall back. So I don't have them doing as much. They had a great draft this year. The Bears did. But I don't see them jumping to that next level yet. So I have them finishing 4th in the division. Then we go up to 3rd in the division. I got the Lions. Matt Stafford, great guy from coming behind and getting wins. He's the most active quarterback in the NFL with those right now. He's great at coming back in the fourth quarter and winning games. But it's hard to do that in the NFL with the new way the NFL is set up. The NFL has turned into a different game. It's harder. It's a new style. And I don't see him being able to come back as much with analytics in the game as there wasn't years ago. Years ago, it was make a play, go. Now analytics has changed that. And I don't think that is something he's going to be ready for. I think they fall down to 3rd. Then you have the Vikings. Everybody knows the Vikings had a great year last year. They went 13-3. They won a lot of close games. And when your biggest win is called the Miracle, I don't think I can buy into you doing too much the following year, especially considering you got rid of Kirk Cousins. Or no, sorry. You just got Kirk Cousins. You just landed him, sorry. You had 3 quarterbacks, and you let go of all of them. And your best wide receiver is Stephon Diggs. Sorry, you just signed Kirk Cousins. I don't think Kirk Cousins is that great. Kirk Cousins went 9-7 a couple years there. And Washington wanted paid, couldn't get it. They franchise tagged him a couple times. He got paid. He left. Now he's here in Minnesota. Minnesota let go of 3 quarterbacks last year. Not just 1, but 3. They let go of Case Keenum, Sam Bradford, and Teddy Bridgewater. And they're all somewhere different. Bridgewater is in New York. He's a Jet. You got Bradford in Arizona, who's probably going to start, like I mentioned in episode number 1 of the RedLine breakdown for the Cardinals at the start of the year. And then they got Teddy Bridgewater, who I said was a Jet, Case Keenum, and Bradford. Those were the 3. Sorry, I forgot what one I said first there. So they go and get another one. They go and get Kirk Cousins. Kirk Cousins went to Michigan State. I don't know if you guys know that, but I figured I'd tell you. But I can't buy into him too much, considering their biggest win was a miracle win, and Kirk Cousins is about a 9-7 quarterback in my mind. So they finished 2nd. I got the Packers winning that division big. I think Aaron Rodgers comes back. He's trying to get that big deal. They're close on negotiations. They know what Aaron means now. They saw how much Aaron Rodgers means to that franchise. I love Brett Hundley because I know Brett Hundley's family, and it hurt to see them struggle, Brett, because seeing that he knows the family, him not having a great year showed Green Bay how much Aaron Rodgers means to them. They struggled really, really bad. They went 7-9 under Brett Hundley. Aaron Rodgers is going to come back. He's going to get that mega deal because they know how much he means, and they're going to help him get who he needs there to win games, period, because that's why he's going to stay. So Green Bay wins that division. With that being said, because Aaron Rodgers is back, he's on a mission. He's going for the MVP this year. Sorry. He's going for it. So the Bears finish 4th. They finish 4-12 on the year. Like I said, they just take a step back because they got a couple easy wins against the Packers. And I think they take a step back. Then we have the Lions. The Lions take a step back this year, too. They were 9-7 last year, and I think they fall back to a 500 team at 8-8 and finish 3rd in that division, considering Minnesota has got a stronger quarterback, and they split with them last year. Minnesota is second, finishes 9-7. Just as I said, they had the miracle win. They won a lot of games on a close call. I don't think that happens again this year. We saw what happened with Oakland. The year Oakland had a really good year. They went 13-3. The following year, they were terrible because they won a lot of close games. You can't continue to play like that. Then you get Kirk Cousins, and Kirk Cousins is a 9-7 quarterback. They finished 9-7. That's exactly what I have them at, 9-7, because that's what Kirk Cousins is as a quarterback. And Packers win it. Like I said, Aaron Rodgers is back. He's on an MVP. He's on a tear right now to get the MVP because he is the most talented player in the NFL as a quarterback. I know people say, no, he's not. He is talented, guys. If you could take his talent and put it on Tom Brady, you would never beat the Patriots. Ever. Period. Hands down, never beat the Patriots. If you put him whole self over there, doesn't even matter. Just take him and swap him. Just swap him out. Just Tom Brady and Aaron Rodgers. And you don't touch the Patriots. I'm sorry. Because Aaron Rodgers is that good. I'm not saying nothing mean against Tom Brady. Tom Brady is fantastic. But he has the mastermind in Bill Belichick. And I think Rodgers is better. And he's back to get that MVP. Even though Tom Brady is the favorite to win the MVP. He's 41 years old coming up. And he's the favorite to win the MVP. I still think AR takes it this year. And that puts the Packers in at 13-3. And I believe the Packers are serious title contenders this year. I know. It's crazy. You heard it. I think the Packers are serious title contenders this year because Aaron Rodgers is back. He has to stay healthy, though. So remember that. So with that being said, that's going to wrap up episode number 2 here out of 4 on the Red Line. We broke down the AFC North and NFC North here on this episode. Make sure you tune back in for episodes 3 and 4 where we break down the East and the South. The one I'm most excited about is going to be episode 4, and that's when I do the AFC and NFC South. Those are going to be 2 great conferences this year. You got to make sure you tune in to episode 4. So enjoy watching 1 and 2. We'll see you guys back here for episodes 3 and 4 on the Red Line. Thanks, guys. We'll see you then.